Stop fighting, I'll break your arm. Stop fighting, tap. Stop fighting. So you just gave up. Get on your stomach. On your stomach. On your stomach. Bring your other hand back here. Thank you. Alright.
Squaring up with the wrong cop, he feints high and enters in on the double. After securing the top position, he starts working on a Kimura. Look how the civilian acts like he's doing something. Get the Alright, so the cop uses the Kimura to pin the assailant belly down. From here, he can easily cuff him.
Welcome back, everybody. As many of you guys know, I'm a law enforcement trainer instructor. I train and instruct military and law enforcement all over the country on various law enforcement disciplines to include constitutional law, case law, patrol tactics, use of force, advanced criminal investigations, etc. And we're going to do a video response to this police department that's going to train all their law enforcement officers to at least be a blue belt. And I think that's a great standard. And the reason why I believe that is because it's going to help the officers with their conformity standards as it relates to Supreme Court case precedents, believe it or not. So the first one, let's go ahead and look at Graham v. Connor, 1989. Again, this is where we get the use of force reasonableness standard. So what is reasonable? Again, the question asks whether a reasonable officer in the same situation would use the same amount of force. And I think that when you get your law enforcement officers trained in grappling, especially, so let's just take Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, BJJ, or even judo, or even just collegiate wrestling, collegiate freestyle, collegiate is also known as folk style, freestyle Greco-Roman wrestling. I mean, what you're really talking about is you're talking about the ability for officers to take a situation where a lot of officers would be at a 5-6 and bumping it back down to a 3. So as you can see here on the use of force continuum scale, again, we know that the officer's presence is going to be number one. Officers always bring a level of force with them because they are bringing the authority of law and order, right? They're bringing a badge, they're bringing a gun. So their presence alone is a level 1. And then obviously level 6 would be lethal use of force. And as we saw in the Daniel Penny situation, as we see in a lot of situations, you see officers that when they do not have the confidence in their abilities, nor do they have the skill set, they skip past 2, 3, 4, and they go from a 1 to a 5. Again, and I'm not trying to be mean, but when you have officers that are, for example, grossly overweight, obese officers that do not have confidence, do not have cardio, are not healthy individuals, they're not going to go hands-on. So they're going to go immediately when the situation does not go their way. They're immediately going to a taser or a pistol. And so when you do that, you totally bypass multiple levels of use of force. And I think that's where you're getting a lot of officers that are getting themselves in trouble. And so I think when you have officers that are trained and confident in their abilities, we are going to see not only use of forces go down, we're also going to see just the overall public, where you're going to see a lot more respect and understanding from the overall public. Again, if the public knows that the entire police force is a blue belt or higher, that's going to change the interaction because officers are now not only comfortable, but they're going to be more able and apt to handle people that are wanting to fight. And so the abilities that you have when you know what you're doing are incredible. I mean, just look at the videos that you saw of the officers utilizing grappling. It's incredible. They're able to easily get in control of suspects, easily able to handcuff them, and again, not go past that level 3 force. Because again, doing some kind of junctional hold or doing some kind of arm bar, things like that. That would be what I would consider, that's an empty-handed submission tactic. Hard control would be striking, right? Kicking, punching. If you have an officer that can easily go from a head and arm to a Kimura, or from a takedown to a Kimura or to handcuffing, that's a level 3 force, right? So you're able to take what other officers would see as a 6 level of force, and you can bump it down to a 3 and safely take that suspect in custody. And also, this is just important for life, right? So get the law enforcement side out of it. How about your CCWs, right? Your concealed carry permit holders. If you're involved in something, right? For example, we talked about, and if you haven't seen the Daniel Penny video, I 100% would recommend you go watch, the video that I did on the Daniel Penny effect. But so many people out there are like, I don't want to do the right thing, right? I don't want to get involved. I don't want to help women, children, senior people because I don't want to get in trouble. Well, again, if you know grappling, if you know the use of force continuum, and you have the ability to control suspects without putting yourself in a gray zone, so to speak, right? If you're completely operating in the green side of case law, in the green side of use of force, you shouldn't have anything to worry about. Again, the only time we see problems is when, for example, in the Danny Penny situation, a guy that is being aggressive, making threats, you see Daniel Penny, trained Marine, immediately utilize a level 6 use of force, a deadly use of force, carotid neck restraint. That could have easily had the same effect if he had known and was more well versed in submission wrestling or in BJJ or in grappling in general, right? So you can take that level 6, bump it back down to a level 3, utilizing underhooks, utilizing junctional holds, or utilizing, some kind of lock restraint like a Kimura, and easily bump that level of force down 3 and be just as effective in maintaining control of that suspect. So again, I think this is huge, and I think this is the right direction where police culture should be going. So there you have it. That's my spin on it. But if you guys, I'm curious, what do you guys think? Do you think that this is good? Do you think this is bad? Also, more importantly, what do you think of the use of force continuum? Very curious to see what you guys have to say in the comment section below. As always, guys, long live the Republic.